In software engineering, we are talking about chapter number 5, Agile Development. So, what is Agile? Agile means flexible, can be converted into the way we want, like a wet clay. So, Agile is all about flexibility. The thing which we are relating this software development here is related to change. For example, when you were young, say 10 years, what was your body shape? Or, when you became 20, you have mustaches and beard. So there is a change. In 30, 40, there will be change. So change is the only thing which never changes. So we talked about various SDLCs like the waterfall model. These are called prescriptive software development life cycles. So in this, we start with communication. Then we plan, then model, then we construct, and finally we deploy. So these are the classical phases of the prescriptive SDLCs. But at that time, it was too good when they were proposed. But now the scenario has changed. The software making has changed. The user requirement has changed. So in 2001, Ken Beck and 16 other software developers, writers, consultants, these are all referred to as Agile Alliance, and they signed the manifesto for Agile software development. And here, this manifesto stated that we are trying to uncover, or we are trying to tell you the good ways to develop a software and help the software developers and the companies. And what will be the added values? Because we already had the trivial, traditional kind of data models or SDLCs. Here they were talking about individuals and interactions over processes and tools. That is, in the previous SDLCs, it was all about processes. But here we are talking about developer, we are talking about customer and their interactions. Individual people are more important here, right? Not the processes, the phases, and the tools being used. Second thing is, the documentation is too much in the traditional SDLCs. That is the requirement, specifications, and the design, then the models being made, then the test plans. Here they are talking about, in Agile, the working software. That is, give it to the users, they'll give the feedback. Then coming to customer collaboration. Previously it was contract negotiation. That is, we have to have customer on board every time, right? Not at the end, but whole processes, there has to be customer involved, their feedback, their requirement, the talk, the conversation. Then the most important thing when I started this discussion is change. Whatever is there, the change is welcome. Responding to a change in a good way, in a welcoming way. Agile methods, they were developed because there were problems in conventional software engineering, like the prescriptive models, waterfall model, the spiral model, the iterative prototype. Okay, so Agile development, this is just because it is providing some benefits. It is helping the software developers, the companies, but it's not always applicable everywhere. Please understand this. It cannot be applied everywhere. Today, because the computer science has whole industry, that is, it is playing a very important role in the economy. Mobile is there. People are wanting apps now, web apps now. So the market conditions are changing. User, they have their own requirement. See, so whatever you are making, you have to give it in quick successions. And there is no possibility that the requirements are known earlier. No one can define. Because the environment of business is changing. The environment of business is fluid. It is changing. On that basis, we have to change the software development process also. Because the requirement will change. We have to be ready for the requirement changing. And the cost of change. See, the Agile introduction in the software industry has cut the cost This is a book, Agile Software Development, and here is the gentleman called Alistair Cogburn. So in his book, he gave certain, very good thoughts. He said that the prescriptive process models, the models we talked about like the waterfall, spiral, the prototype, why they were failing. Most of the time they were not able to, overcome that problems of time and cost. The problem is they were not thinking about the people involved. People means those people, engineers who are making the software, who are involved. In a class, someone goes to big institutions like the IITs, some may leave school in between. That is, the skill level, the creativity, orderliness, consistency, spontaneity, everyone has a different, upbringing, thought, mind, IQ, etc. So he stated, because this consistency in action is a human weakness, no one can be equal. Everyone is different. So this very high discipline methodologies like the waterfall models and the spirals, they can break. They are fragile. Because we are not thinking about the people, because everyone is different. So we have to have, because if we want this process model to work, we will need to be very realistic. We need to encompass a kind of discipline which is necessary. A discipline which everyone, even someone wants to work, some doesn't, they can be a part of it. They can also follow. That is why we need the agile kind of software development. Alistair Cogburn and many others suggested this. What is agility? Agility is all about flexibility. Means openness to change. Have you seen cat? A small pipe also, she can go. That is, she can move. But here we are talking about the change, the different changes, the different transition that are going to come while you are developing a software. So this is the agility we are talking about. Dr. Ivar Jacobson, he said, it's all about change. And what was the driving force behind agility is change. Software engineers, they need to be very quick and welcoming to welcome the rapid changes, because the changes are happening so fast. The industry has become, change oriented. And main thing is, because we were not talking, the software developer, software managers, they were just, because of some other reason, they were not talking that much. Because software development is all about talking. Even the stakeholders have to be, casually approached, talked, the conversation should be continuous. And you cannot wait, or the user cannot wait to put the product in place. You cannot start for communication and only till deployment. You have to give the operational software. It has to be very rapid, even if it is software app or website. That is, the basic operational software you have to deliver rapidly. Then only the feedback will come. Then only the work product can be, the importance can be emphasized by you and by the stakeholders. We always create an India and Pakistan, because software team and stakeholders, they are two different, countries which don't gel together. We have to eliminate it. The software developers, the software company and the stakeholders, they are one team. We have to eliminate this line between them. We have to take all of them on board while developing. Project plan which we make in the early stages, they need to be flexible, because the world is uncertain. The requirements are uncertain. The market is uncertain. Therefore, we need everything to be flexible. Agility can be applied to any software process, because software processes can be different. Agility can be applied, but not everywhere. Agility and the cost of change. Now, I'll show you how this agile development can change or can cut the cost as compared to the trivial and traditional kind of SDLCs or software development life cycles. The main thing is change. agility, agile development is all about welcoming the change, doing the change at the later stages. Now you see there are 3 lines. You have to first see the dark black curve. The x-axis is showing the development schedule progress and the y-axis is development cost. Here the cost of change increases non-linearly, that is, it is not a straight line, as the project is progressing. That is the point where you would like to do the change. The cost will be higher. That is, if you want to change here, just make a line parallel to x-axis. Here will be the development cost. So at the later stages, if the change is suggested, the cost will be higher in the traditional waterfall models, spiral models, or the prescriptive models. Okay. So it is easy to accommodate when the requirement phase is there. Easy, early in the stages of the project. But, when the user comes, because at previous stages, you can even change the requirements and, because the design has not been made, the modeling has not been done, the coding has not been done. But the requirement, the design, it will be difficult if the change is at the later stage. But if someone comes at the later stage, it is very difficult for you to cut the cost and keep the schedule, because it will adversely affect it. But what if an important stakeholder comes and he says, say at the later stages, after design is done, UDP are doing, please do it on TCP, transmission control protocol I want. What will you do? That is, the architectural design has been made, the construction already has been done, the component has been done. So you have to change the component design, you have to modify the architectural design, even you have to design new test. If the change is prescribed to you by the user at the later stages. So the time and cost, it will affect your project. It will affect the cost. It will affect the schedule. It is going to happen if the changes are done or prescribed to you, or you do it at the later stages when you use a conventional kind of software development lifecycle. Now let me tell you about the agile. This is the blue line you are seeing. Actually, it has to be at this dotted line, but it is very difficult to achieve this. But the agile development, if you make a well-designed agile process, this curve, which was earlier because of the prescriptive kind of models, it was like this, because the later stages change will adversely affect the time and cost. Now, because of the well-designed agile process, the cost can be reduced, because the software team can now accommodate, can change at the later stages. There will be no adverse or dramatic cost and time impact. How do they do it? Because this, you have to provide the agility and how to get it. Because if you see here, same point, if we change the traditional and the agile, they both have different cost. So agile process, do it by incremental delivery. That is, make an operational software, give it to the user, then add some more functionality, and depending upon the feedback, you give them incremental delivery. Every time there has to be unit testing, continuous unit testing, and the pair programming, the fast delivery. The pair programming is all about 2 people sitting together while development is done. That is, one will develop, other will be doing the quality assurance, and other, they both can change their action. And because of this, the cost can be attenuated, or you can say cut down. So this is how the agility works. So what is exactly an agile process? Agile process means how you are going to impart the agility. What will you do? So the agile software process, what it should be, first is that the software requirement, we cannot fulfill it in the early stages. Okay, because 50 requirements are given to you. Some in the course of the project, the user can tell you, you can delete 5, add 2 more, right? So he will come to you for the change, and you have to be prepared for that. The agility or the agile process says design and construction cannot, they are not different. They are interleaved. You design, then then construct. You design, then construct. Means you design and code, design and code. That is, the coding is actually proving that the design is correct. And all these stages, analysis, design, construction, testing, these are not predictable. You cannot predict it. You can plan it, but the prediction cannot be there. You have to change it. Because analysis design can be changed. And agile process is all about incremental delivery. That is, you have to give in short time increments every time. Means it can be 3 weeks, it can be 1 month, depending upon what kind of process the project you are doing. So it has to be incremental, because the only thing you can get from the user is feedback, and that can be only done when you incrementally give the application, website, or whatever you are making for them. And these software increments, they have to be given in short time, as I suggested, in weeks or months, because the change will be there. And if you want to keep up with the pace of the change, adapt to the change, you can give the software increment, which is the executable prototypes, or even a part of your operational system. In one year of project, you cannot wait for 3 to 4 months to give the increment, or you have to give in 1 month, for 2 years in 3 months. There are certain principles, agile development, agility, all these should fulfill or follow the agile spirit. So we talked about Agile Alliance, Mr. Kent and other people, they also suggested the manifesto, they signed the manifesto. So there are certain principles, we call it as agile spirit. The organization have to follow this principle so that they may say that they have achieved the agility. The first thing comes is the most priority person or people is your customer, because you are to satisfy the customer, and this is only done when you give the software fast. You need to be welcoming the requirement. As I said, 50 requirements are there. In the later stages, 5 requirements have been deleted, 5 or more are added, new ones. So at this point of the project, in 1 year, if the change are suggested, you need to give them changes, provide them changes, right? Because this will give him advantage in the market. The delivering working software frequently, as I said, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, because the time scale of delivery should be less. Everyone involved in the project making, whether it is a developer or stakeholder, the manager, everyone involved, there has to be continuous conversation, continuous discussion throughout the project. Okay, there has to be some communication, and we have to build the project around those people who are highly motivated. When the person will be motivated, the team member, project manager, project leader, whosoever it is, they should get a good environment. You see in Google, you see in Adobe, the environment is so good. People want to work there. The support they need and they get, and they are being trusted to get their job done. Face-to-face conversation. We always use, normally WhatsApp, we use mobile, we use in the email to talk. Why not to talk face-to-face? Talk to shareholders, talk to your, peers face-to-face. And all that matter is working software. If you want to find out the progress, it is all about working software. Agile process, it promotes sustainable development. That is, the sponsor, developer, user, they should be able to maintain a constant pace throughout. Everyone has to be together. Everyone has to be on board for this sustainable development. This is also one of the principles of agility. Continuous attention to the technical excellence. That is, if you want the person to be good, you have to train. Okay. For example, a private college individual or an IITian, you know the difference how they work. And then simplicity is very important. If you make it hard, it will be hard for you. It will be complex for the user. Make it simple. KIS, keep it simple. That is the idea. The best product, it can be architecture, requirement, design, whatever is coming, can only come from the team which is self-organizing teams. Because architecture requirement design has to be done. And this will be only done when the teams are deciding themselves, among the peers. So this is self-organizing team. Then at regular interval, what is the problem? How to overcome this? What can be done to fine-tune, adjust our behavior, individual and the software behavior? This we need to, that is, continue review, talk, conversation should be there. In agile development or agile software development, there are various models. All are basically dependent on change, or came because change was not possible in the earlier or conventional type of SDLCs. So extreme programming is the most widely used approach under this agile software development. So XP is one type of agile software development. Kent Beck, he has written a lot about extreme programming and he presented it on seminal work also. There is a variant of XP called the Industrial XP, IXP, and this is same as XP, but it is a refinement for large organization. The first process of XP, extreme programming, is planning. So XP is all about the agile software development, extreme programming. The first activity is planning activity, also called as planning game. And this is all about listening to the user. Before we go ahead, let me tell you, extreme programming uses object-oriented approach. At that time, object-oriented programming languages were very popular, and it was all about classes, objects. UML was becoming very popular. So we were talking about extreme programming, one type of agile development. This is the first step is planning activity. Planning game is about listening. You are actually gathering the information from the user as a developer, because user will tell you what output he wants, what are the major features and functionality he's wanting from you. So you have to listen to him. You have to talk to the user, the stakeholder, the people who have given you the software to make. So once you listen, you create stories, user stories. You can call it as user scenarios or user stories, or you can say use cases. So now here, it is all about what will be the output, feature, functionality. Every story, whatever you will make, will have certain output, will have certain features and functionality when the software will be built. So you are making user one, say user story 1, user story 2. One will have output, some certain output, the other will have certain output. Now each story will be written by the customer, and this will be placed on an index card. So this is a kind of index card, just an example that what the user want. What is the acceptance criteria? If he's asking for 5, you are giving 2, he is not accepting. That is the card is saying. Now once you have made this index card with the user story, the customer will assign a value. You'll ask for a value. It will be a priority. Which one of this he wants first? So let us say user story 2 you have made, and he has given priority 1 to the user story 2. Okay? Because he is saying no, user story 1 is not that. Let us prioritize the user story 2 first. So you will give a proper value of priority. And then say user story will take 5 weeks, user story 1 will take 2 weeks. So you will estimate the cost in terms of week. So when you see the user story is 5 weeks, so you'll go to the user and we'll ask him to divide or split this user story. For example, a user story you have made for add and factorial. This can be divided into one add and the other part as factorial, and they may take say 2.5 weeks, just for example I'm saying. So if it is more than 3 weeks, this user stories with the priority can be divided into such that it can be completed within 3 weeks. Please remember, new stories can be written at any time, even after the design. Means it is always welcome in this extreme programming, extreme process, because this is agile development process. Once you, as a developer and the customer, they have decided, basically you have commitment, what will be included in the stories, delivery date and every other thing. So now XP team will decide which story they have to go forward, because user has given you a priority. Depending on the priority, you have decided the weeks, the time. Now the XP team will say or decide all story. They can do whatever they want. So all story they can implement within say a few weeks. They can do it. All the stories at once in few weeks. They can also decide that the highest priority, highest value, this they can schedule first. That will be implemented first, and the later will come later. And they can also decide, the XP team, that the riskiest story, the functionality, the option which is containing a lot of risk, this will be done first. Okay. So after this, these three things will be there in the mind of the XP team, and they will decide with their all, you can say common sense of the way they are seeing the project. After the first project or release is given to the user, that is delivered, the XP team will try to evaluate the project velocity. That is the first increment or the release. XP team is going to find out how fast we were. What is the project velocity in terms of time, in terms of the schedule. So this project velocity is actually the number of customer stories. As I said, there will be number of customer stories. These are all the requirements of the user. So this will be whatever they have implemented in the first release, they will compute a project velocity. Now, why they are calculating the project velocity? The first thing is they can estimate the later releases, how much time it will take. And one more thing, have they overcommitted? Because if they have slow project velocity or the higher project velocity, they can decide whether we have overcommitted or not. We should have not committed that much, like this. So they can change the dates accordingly. And as I said earlier, the stories or the requirement or the change can be added anytime, can be deleted anytime, can be split. This can all be done by the user at any time, and you need to welcome it. Coming to design, XP design is all about KIS principle. KIS is keep it simple. That is, why are we wasting time on design? Let's make a simple design. So they are talking about XP is all about a simple design, not a complex representation like the architectural model, component model like this. Because design is going to design provides implementation guidance for a story. Because you are going to implement story on the basis of design. And very important thing here is the coding you are going to do, that has to correspond with the design. Design is not corresponding to coding, okay? Design will not follow coding. Coding will be actually complementing the design. So XP, only one kind of design is done here, that is CRC cards. CRC is class responsibility collaborator. This is all about the class you have decided. This class will have this function. This will be the objects being created. What are the variables we ought to have in the current software increment? How many classes will have? 2, 4, 5, 6 classes. How many? So this is the CRC card, and this CRC card is the only design. Please remember, there is no other design. Only CRC card are the design part of XP processes. So we don't make so much of design. That is why we are saying that design is kept as simple as possible. CRC. Now, if designing somewhere you find problem as a developer, what we will do, you'll create an operational prototype quickly. This is called a spike solution, because making a design, coding, and then finding the problem is not XP way. XP way is, if you find that design, we are not able to design, or there is a problem in design maybe later, so we'll create an operational prototype just to check whether design is conforming to this operational prototype. This is called a spike solution. So these spikes will come as a prototype. XP in the design only, it is encouraging refactoring. Basically, refactoring is a construction technique, but in XP we can use it as a design technique also. For example, you write certain code, okay? Because writing a code, you can just change the code, you can alter the code, not the actual feeling of the code, but inside. If someone has written 2 lines, 1 is required, why not to have 1 line only? This is all about cleaning up the code, simplifying the code, because more you write, more bugs will be there, or more you make the code clumsy, that will create certain problems later. So the idea is that the design can also occur after the design. This is very important. In design, the coding is always following the design. Here, the design can follow a coding in XP. So I'm just trying to show you these are two lines of conversion from the Fahrenheit to Celsius. The simple way is to make it as one line if it is possible. So this is the kind of refactoring example we can just know right now, so that this refactoring can be done in the design phase. Basically, refactoring, why we are doing, because designing can be done along with the construction or after the construction. The construction activity will provide the XP team the guidance how you can improve the design, because refactoring we are doing just to improve the code, and as I'm saying, code is corresponding to the design, and we are not saying that code will only come after design. The design can also come after coding. We can change the design. That is the change. Now coming to the coding. See, here actual code will be done. But what we have seen in the earlier SDLCs, right? User stories, in this case, user stories we are writing, then we may jump to coding. But in XP, coding is not done like that. Before we go to the coding, after the stories and this preliminary design are done, we actually develop or write unit testing, that how this code is going to pass the unit test. Before even writing the code, we will develop the unit test. Now the developer, when he is writing the code, he knows that I have to pass this test because it is already being written. So once the code is complete, it is again and again unit tested, and then the feedback will be very readily available to the to the developer. One more important thing of XP is pair programming. Two people, one is driver, one is navigator. So, when two people are working, it makes the construction easier. So XP is recommending two people should work on a system, and then they can create a code, the story. So here, two things are going on. One person is coding. The other person is ensuring the quality assurance also. That is, he can review the code. Oh, this semicolon is wrong. You could have done this like this. So two minds are always better. 1 and 1 always is 11, not 2. So this is how two skillful people, if they are sitting together, the code will be in the same time, it will be created and quality assured. So in practice in XP, what happens when the two people are sitting, they may take different role. Because they both have different skills. They are software developers, and for example, one may be doing coding, other may be ensuring that the coding standard is followed. For example, MISRA standard they have to follow. So the other person is ensuring that okay, and the other person may also think that okay, because unit test has already been written, we have to clear the unit test, so you must write like this. So as pair programmers, they complete their work because these are pair. There may be another pair, there may be another pair. So all they are creating the code in a good manner, they can be combined. So they are integrated. When this continuous integration is done, there will be some compatibility interfacing problem. They can be reduced. So it creates a kind of smoke testing environment, because smoke testing is all about, if you take a hardware and put the switch on, if there is smoke, you know that the hardware is a failure. The same thing happens here when you combine the code, that is integration. If there is some problem, you know that there is a problem. So you know there is a compatibility and interfacing issue. This can be solved. The problems, errors, bugs can be uncovered easily by this scenario. Then comes the testing of XP process. As I said, unit tests are already created. They can be automated. Now, because this is again and again done, and when some change is there in the code, there will be regression testing. And this is done on the daily basis also, sometimes in this XP. So this provides XP team what is the progress, and they can create the warning flags quite early, because you are doing the unit test also, and you are regression testing also you are doing. See, it is always important to understand fixing small problems every few hours, every day takes less time than fixing huge problems just because before you are delivering the software. Okay, so big problem is not acceptable. Small problem you can fix. XP, there will be acceptance test from the users. For example, file transfer code you have written, and the user is saying, I want 10 Mbps speed. and you are providing him say 9 Mbps or 8 Mbps, it is not acceptable. So there will be some acceptance test by the customer who will only accept when you have completed the task. And this is the whole idea of XP process, that this functionality has to be given. Coming to the industrial XP. Industrial XP is all about XP in the industrial environment, big organization, large organization. So the precursor of knowing industrial XP is that you must know the XP. What is extreme programming under agile software development? Okay. So everything is same as XP, the different phases we talked about. In industrial XP, there are slight changes. It was actually described by Joshua, and he described the industrial extreme programming, a type of agile software development. And one, he said, there are big companies, Adobe and Google's and etc. The big organization, how to implement this XP, what changes or what things we should know. So he said, Joshua, that XP is just an organic evolution of XP, right? It is along with XP, because XP is all about minimalistic, customer-centric, test-driven spirit. We already talked about XP. So this is also a kind of, a layering for industrial. IXP, because here we are including management more, and the customer and everyone has to be on board, and the technical practices has to be upgraded. So IXP is encompassing 6 new practices for big organization. So as I said, you need to know XP to understand this. This is everything is XP only with the industrial aspects here. The first thing is readiness assessment. That is the IXP team. As I said, everyone has to be on board. It can be stakeholder, developer, management, everyone has to be on board. And one more important thing is what skill they have, the skill levels we need for this project to complete. The project community, that we need right people. That is, everyone's skill will be different. And if the skill is not there, we have to train them. If a hardware person is there, he can design FPGA and etc. But if you say him to make a software, he won't be able to do it. Okay, so the right skill and training is important. Then comes the project chartering. Now let us talk about Google or say Adobe. Now if they have taken certain software, first they have to think whether this software what we are making or the application we are making, whether it is justifying our organization, the goals and objective, the mission and mode of our organization. This is project chartering, right? Coming to test-driven management. As I said, every point, every destination or milestone will be there that we need to check whatever the software is coming to us. Software increment, we have to check. And this is all about testing. We have talked about testing, and we'll be talking about testing in the later discussion. This is called as retrospective. So this is kind of a, say, technical review. The term here we are using in industrial XP is retrospective, when the software increment is delivered. And then the continuous learning. We have to make the team aware of the latest technologies. We have to guide them. We have to teach them to be, at par with the present scenario. So Agile is a methodology for software development. So the most widely used Agile process model, there are so many models. So one is extreme programming. There are other Agile methods also, which are very common. And we'll talk about Scrum, DSSD, Agile Modeling, and Agile Unified Process, AUP. Scrum. Scrum is one of the Agile methodology. You can also call it as a software development life cycle. So how to develop a software using Scrum. So Scrum has come from a game called rugby. And here 2 teams are fighting. Actually, one team is fighting for a single goal objective. So there is a ball and then one of them, they do the sprint, and finally they do the touchdown. So it's all about working as a team together and trying to get the result. So the Scrum, as I just suggested, the name is derived from an activity which you see here during rugby match. This is a software development process, and this is under Agile software development. And this was conceived by Jeff Sutherland in early 1990s. He is the gentleman. and it was further developed by Schwaber and Weidel, these two gentlemen. And every software development life cycle, we talked about waterfall, spiral, iterative, prototype, they all have certain framework activities. You can also call them as basic activities. So Scrum also has certain framework activities. It is requirement, analysis, design, evolution, and delivery of the software product. With each framework activity, there are certain work, there are certain job has to be done. And this occurs within a process pattern. And this process pattern is called a sprint. So whenever the software requirement comes, we just run, that is a sprint we do. And this is a process pattern. The work conducted within this sprint or the task pattern is properly defined, but it can be modified in real time by the Scrum team. So Scrum, as I said, there are certain software patterns. Software patterns are already developed way of working, which you can follow, that has already been established. So if the timeline is very tight, for example, in 1 year, 6 months, you have to deliver the product. The requirements are changing. For example, after 2 months, the user comes, he says, oh, add this thing or remove this thing. So there is continuous change in the requirement. And the business is very critical. That means the product which you have to make has to be developed faster. So each of these process patterns, let me tell you, process pattern is again this set of activities which are already there, the steps which are already established. So here also I'll tell you the process pattern of Scrum. So there are certain development activities. Everything starts with a backlog, product backlog. So this is actually the list of functions, functionalities. User has given you these many functions he want. These are the functionality, and they are prioritized also. That is, first I want this one, then this one, like this. So these are basically the feature functionality. You can call it as a requirement. So this all comes under a backlog. Now, this backlog can be changed. That is, user can add, delete, modify the requirement. That is how the change is introduced. Agile technology or methodology is all about the change. Now, here is a product manager. That is the key person. He assesses, he finds out the backlog, which one is given more priority, which we have to develop first. So this is all the main manager, he decides depending upon the backlog. So these are all the requirements. So he says, okay, this is important, so we'll just shift it over like that. Now comes the sprints. This is the actual run. This is the actual software development. So here we have a predefined time box. Normally it is 30 days. I'm not fixing it. It can be 25 days. It can be 40 days, like that. Normally it is 30 days or 1 month. So here we have requirements. So say we have 50 requirements. So say 3 we have taken. These are prioritized requirement. And this has been taken from backlog. And the team has decided, okay, we have to do these 3 requirements in 1 month. Now, while these 3 requirements are being done or implemented, there is no change. That is, at a particular sprint, no change can be introduced. Okay? Backlog work items change is not possible in this 30 days or time box. That is, when the team is working for these 30 days or 40 days, this is short term, but the environment is stable. The changes are not happening here. Okay? So this is short term, they are working, but this is stable environment, they are working. The most important is face-to-face conversation. We also call it as Scrum meetings. So these are very short, casual meeting, normally 15 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. So here there are key questions the senior asked with the team who is working. The first question is, what did you do since the last team meeting? Like yesterday, what did you do extra? And what are the problems you faced? So we need to solve this problem, uncover the error as early as possible. So the asking is what you have done and what are you going to do the next team meeting? What do you plan to do? So this is a casual meeting. And the team leader, also called here as Scrum Master, he leads a meeting, he assesses the responses, the problems which the team is facing. This is all because this meeting is just held because every problem has to be uncovered and to be solved as soon as possible. They don't want it to be propagated the next day. If you have problem, now if you go to the doctor, you have to tell the problem, then he will give you the medicine. Exactly like this. Scrum Master assesses the team, try to solve face-to-face conversation, and they have all the knowledge socialization. Daily meetings is all about knowledge socialization, because this is the agile, and agile is all about self-organizing team structure. So this is also promoting, everyone is talking every day, they're saying hello, hi, having coffee, and discussing about the problems and solving it. Not demos. Demos is the actual software which is produced. So we are delivering the software increment to the customer because we have implemented certain functionality from the backlog. And this can be demonstrated. This will be evaluated by the customer, and you get the response. And that is how you plan for the next. That is, demo may not contain all the planned activity. Please remember, I told you about, say, 50 requirements are there. It may not have all the requirement, but what time box, it is done. So, Scrum is an agile development method. This is all about tight schedule software delivery. And there is a process pattern where we have backlog, which is called the requirement. Sprint is all about development. There's meeting being held, and then finally the demos are given. So very crystal clear and very outlined and streamlined way of working. DSDM, or Dynamic System Development Method. So this DSDM is also an approach under agile software development. Now here, this is also providing a framework of building the software. But the main thing here is, again, the time is limited. The time constraint is limited. For example, you have to deliver in 6 months, 1 year, or say 8 months. So the dynamic system development method is having its own peculiar property. One more thing here is incremental prototyping. Please remember, it is prototyping and with incremental prototyping. So P1 is certain functionalities. P2 will be the increment of that functionality and will be a prototype also. But it is done under a controlled project environment. That is, everything is being checked, verified, right? We cannot, because normally in prototype, we just throw the prototype. Here, no, we are not throwing it. We are incrementing it. The most key feature of this DSDM is the Pareto principle. The DSDM philosophy is actually the modified version of this Pareto principle only. It is saying if you put only 20% of the effort, you are going to get 80% of the result. Only 20% work, 80% result. And let me show you a picture here. It is the difference between the traditional approach and DSDM. So here features are the main key, and everything is done on the basis of feature, and quality is in both the key part. But in DSDM, it is all about the tight schedule, and the cost cannot be overrun. So this is how the features can be compensated. That is, you can only give in the first prototype, incremental prototype, 80% of the functionality which you have decided. So it's an iterative process, and every iteration should follow an 80% rule. For example, this is one prototype, and you decided that 10 requirements have to be given. You just give 8. If you complete 8 requirement, you can just go to the next prototype increment. It is not necessary, like in Scrum, like in other, that 10 has to be completed. No, 8 completed, that's enough. That is, do only that much of work that can facilitate for next increment. And then later one, they can be done in the next stage, okay? Because once you do 8, you will also get some business requirement, the changes, and then this can be accommodated easily using the Pareto principle. So there is a DSDM consortium, and they have designed an agile process model, and this is called as DSDM life cycle. So this starts with a feasibility study. Feasibility is all about knowing whether it is possible or not. Normal waterfall model, etc. We have communication, then planning, modeling, then construction, then deployment. DSDM consortium has given a DSDM life cycle. It starts with the feasibility study. So this is all about what are the business requirements, what are the requirements the user want from the software, and what are the constraints that this should not be there, or what are the risks, you can say. The constraint is all about knowing what shouldn't be done. And then the next in the life cycle, the next thing comes is business study. Here the functional and non-functional requirements are identified. For example, functional is this image should be brightness should be increased, or it needs to be 90-degree rotated. Non-functional is the performance, for example. So this GSDM, after this feasibility study and business study, it defined 3 different iterative cycles. It's an iterative way, I told you already. So there are 3 different iterative cycles that are defined by DSDM. First one is functional model iteration. What happens here is, as I said, incremental prototype is produced here, is generated, and this will be demonstrated to the customer following the Pareto principle. Now, what exactly we want to do here is we want to get the information and the requirement from, or you can say the feedback from the user, because he's using the prototype. The second thing comes in the DSDM, iterative cycles, is design and build iteration. So here, whatever is being built or produced in the functional model iteration, this is revisited. Okay? Because it needs to be done that all the user feedback has been incorporated and the changes has been done. Finally, the implementation. Here, the latest software increment, the prototype, incremented prototype, or you can say the operational, fully functional prototype with certain requirement, they are put into actual operational environment. So this is DSDM. You have to just learn about the Pareto principle here. Whenever somebody asks, just write or say the Pareto principle along with this feasibility study, business study, and these 3 different iterative cycles have to be mentioned here. Okay, functional model, design and build, and implementation. One more thing we have to note here is that 100% completion is not at all required, and the changes may be requested as the increment is put in place, that is the incremental prototype. In either of these 2 cases, DSDM development can go again back to the functional model iteration. I told you about FMI, so you can go back whenever you want, because that is the development model that is produced. Agile modeling. So here we want to understand that what are the ways Agile can be implemented. Why Agile modeling is somewhere, have different aspects. So there are certain situations where the software engineer would like to build a very large system. So which model we have to use? Because, maintaining the models itself can be a problem. For example, extreme programming, Scrum is there. We have DSDM. There are so many models, Agile models are there. So is there an Agile approach to software engineering or software engineering modeling that can provide this relief from this problem? See, this Agile modeling is saying about all the core and supplementary modeling principles. You know about XP, Scrum, DSDM, everything you know. But the other thing which we need to understand while we are modeling using Agile or Agile is being implemented, what we need to understand more than that. The main thing here is model with a purpose. That is Agile modeling, whichever is using as a developer. The thing is to know the requirement from the user. You don't create a model. You need to understand what the user wants. Once you decide, then you can decide for the notation. XP, Scrum, DSD, what good things we can adopt here. Okay? Because the details are now with you. So model with a purpose. First know the purpose, then model. Then the other thing comes here is use multiple models. There's so many different models I talked about. Right? So AM or Agile modeling is telling you only use those models that is better for the audiences, for your stakeholders. Travel light means only keep those models that will give you some long-term value. For example, Scrum is there. Why not we use some part of XP also? Content is more important than representation. If you are making a very good model, using a very good model, and it is not producing good result, what is the point? You can have a very normal kind of model. If you are giving good result, that is what you wanted. Know the models and the tools you use to create them. Because every model has their strengths and weaknesses. And you need to have some tools also, automated tools, etc. So, adapt locally, that is flexibility. Agile itself is flexible, so why not to use the flexibility of the model? Agile unified process. So we have already talked about unified process, and the precursor is, you must know about these phases: inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. So the phases, for example, in waterfall model, there are type phases. From the communication till the deployment, it is serial. You cannot go back. Modeling and planning and all these construction, these are very different phases. In unified process, we still talked about that there can be overlapping also. Inception is done, so elaboration can also be done, and these phases can have multiple this iteration. For example, this construction have here C1, C2 till Cn iterations, multiple times you can do. Okay, and in all these, this from model till environment, all these are also there as suggested by Ambler. Now this agile unified process, we already know about the rational unified process and others. So why not we add agility with the unified process? See, these phases are already, these process patterns are already there. They are established. We can use it. We are already using it. But when we add agile with this unified process, we are actually doing two things. Serial in the large. When you're talking about a large perspective, we are using inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. But whenever we talk about a single phase, we are iterating it because we want to have the delivery in short periods. So serial in large is all about the actual unified process, but iterative in the small is all about the agility we are trying to implement here. So by adopting this classic UP activities, which are inception, elaboration, construction, and transition, of course, this AUP is providing a serial overlay. What it means, we have a linear sequence from inception to transition. Here we are trying to do the serial overlaying that will enable the team to visualize the overall process flow for a software project. That is, in each activity, the team iterates to achieve agility. Again, I'm telling, it's all about finding agility, because we want to deliver the software faster in terms of software increment as soon as early as rapidly as possible. So each AUP iteration also addresses certain activities from model till environment. So what does this contain? What do we do in model? What do we do in test in the agile unified process? So let us start with modeling. So here we are using the unified modeling language. We'll use the unified modeling language. For example, you'll make the use cases, you'll make the sequence diagram like this. There are multiple UML present. Previously there were 9, now there are 13. So there are so many UML diagrams. But the thing is, when you're adding agility, as I said, 9, 30, now you have so many diagrams. You don't need to make all of them like the component model diagram. Not like that. Just make the models which are barely good enough for the modeling, for the design. You don't have to make everything. This is all about modeling here. Okay. Now, when you are implementing, you have already made the model. Now let us make the source code. Let us write it in Python, C, C++, any language of your choice. Now, testing. You remember XP? The team designs and execute a series of tests. In XP, the unit tests are created earlier than the source code. So here, the source code and then the test, because the errors have to be uncovered early. It's kind of a unit testing and then followed by the other testing which are there to remove the bugs. Then the deployment. It's all about, Agile is all about software increment and delivering it to get the feedback from the user. And then configuration management, you can say project management. These two is all about the higher authority looking after the change, because the requirement will change. The risks are there. So how to minimize the risk, how to mitigate the risk. And then the result which are coming from the team, you have to be persistent about that. So the project management is all about what is the progress of the team, and there are different teams which are working on different activities. So there has to be some coordination also. Environment management is that the team is important. So you have to provide with them tool, you have to support, you have to give them technology, you have to talk to them about the standards and, to elevate them. So this is the environment management. This is also done in the Agile unified process. So we talked about AUP. AUP is all about unified process with the agility with these all following activities. This is all about this discussion. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.